Welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm thrilled you're able to join us today. We're going to have a really interesting conversation about how they deal with dementia over in Africa. And they have some very different stigmas than what we do here in the States in terms of witchery and all kinds of things. So I'm going to kind of do our general announcements here first, and then I'll introduce our guests. So if you liked our opening music, it's called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band, and you can download that on any of your favorite music platforms. For those of you that are new to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio, we're about sound information, not just sound bites. We want to have real conversations with real people who are in the trenches in dealing with dementia. And we like to have that conversation for about an hour because, again, we want to get to the meat of the matter. What are people's passions? What are they doing differently? How might you be able to take what you learned from them and apply it in your own life or business? Now, I also want to just do a couple of shout outs before we get to that interview. And so there are a couple of support groups that I work with. One is Arthur's Memory Cafe, and we do that virtually. We've been doing that virtually since COVID hit. And we meet on the second and the fourth Wednesday of each month at 1 p.m. Central. So that is 2 Eastern Time, noon Mountain Time, and 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And anyone is welcome to join us on that. I also do a Caregiver Connect program, which is sponsored by Brookdale North Oaks. That one we meet in person the last Wednesday of each month at 10 a.m. Central at the Shoreview Parks and Rec Center in Shoreview, Minnesota. So you are more than welcome to participate in that if you'd like to as well. Just reach out to me and I will get you that information. I will also be doing a couple of programs for Artist Senior Living, and that will be on January 11th from 6 to 7 p.m. And that's a caregiver survival camp, talking about the realities of dementia and some family friendly tips and tools you'll get out of that. And then also for Artists Potomac, I'm going to be doing one for professionals, and that's on tools for professionals to tap into and really understanding and supporting the families that we serve. And that will be on January 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. as well. And last, I just want to mention is a new research project that you can get involved in. It's called Picnic Health. And you can join Picnic Health by going to picnichealth.com/speaks. And when you sign up, you actually get $25. Now, what they do is they collect and they digitize all of your medical records into one account. So they're nice and easily accessible. And then you can consent to share your information that is anonymized data that medical researchers can then go through. And by examining your personal real world data from your medical records, researchers can find answers to things that they wouldn't have found in clinical trials. So it's really important for us to share our unique healthcare profiles to be able to improve the journey and the story of dementia. And if you are caring for someone with dementia and you are legally able to do so, you can sign them up on your behalf as well. Go to www.holzhausen.com/speaks and grab that $25 when you sign up. We're going to hear from the footbar walker, and we will be right back.
I'm Peggy from Danville, Kentucky, and I'm 91 years old. The footbar walker revolutionized my care of George. It absolutely benefits the patient and the caregiver both, and that's the beauty of it. It's so easy to use. It folds up just like a dream. I got it in and out of the car without any effort at all. The saving that I made from having to put him in a nursing home came to about $192,000.
The footbar walker was designed not only to assist the patient, but also the caregiver. It's like having a portable pull bar everywhere you go. Patients have more control of their motion and pain management, and no lifting from the caregiver is required. Caregivers, put your foot down and quit hurting your own health, no matter which side of the footbar walker you're on. It's a win-win. Call 731-924-4444 and visit our factory showroom in Paris, Tennessee, or visit us online at thefootbarwalker.com.
Okay, so it's time to introduce our guest today, and I'm just thrilled to have him with us. Berrie Holtzhausen is African, and he is proud that he is from Namibia, and that is known as the jewel in the crown of Africa. He is the founder and CEO of Alzheimer's Dementia Namibia, which is known as ADN. Berrie is also living with dementia himself. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in November of 2020. And today we will be exploring how to be involved in awareness and education regarding dementia in Africa, because it's very different and people need to understand and respect the cultural differences. As you will hear from Berrie, the disease is the same all over the globe, but the challenges are really, really different. And so we're going to learn how influencing cultural beliefs is happening through Berrie's program and his work with ADN, and how they are shifting mindsets and hearts from witchcraft and rituals to engagement and traditional and holistic medicine combined. Well, Berrie, I'm thrilled to have you with us today. I think this is going to be a fascinating conversation, and one that I know a lot of people in America don't have any idea what's going on over in Africa when it comes to dementia. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And second, I always like to start out asking people, I had mentioned in the intro that you're living with dementia. If you wouldn't mind telling us what type of dementia you have and how that's affected you so far.
Okay, it's nice to be with you, Laurie. And thank you for your invitation. I'm very privileged. I'm living in Namibia. It's on the southwestern coast of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, just between Angola, Botswana, and South Africa. Four times the size of Minnesota, and only 2.7 million people. You've got 5.7 million people. But I'm living with dementia caused by Alzheimer's disease. And as you know, they can't really say it 100%. It was after 3 brain scans and 13 months of diagnostic process. Because I was working with people living with dementia for the last 10 years, it was much easier for me and my family to recognize the symptoms and the signs. So first we went to my GP and they said to me, "No, Berrie, you're just depressed." And they said to me, "No, I'm not asking you what's wrong with me. I'm going to see my neurologist. He's the man who will do this." No dementia in my family that I know of, or in my extended family that I know of. Not my father, my mother, but both of them passed on very, very young at the age of 59. Yeah, and you know, I always said to my trustees, I'm the CEO and the founder of Alzheimer's Dementia Namibia. And I always said to my trustees, when in 2019, when I noticed that there's something wrong, please, if I'm diagnosed positively, don't disengage me from life. I still will be the CEO of ADN. I'll still drive around. I'm driving around about 50,000 kilometers a year only for my work. Only to, like I said, we are 4 times the size of Minnesota, and I'm running a dementia care farm not far from me, 20 kilometers outside of town, where we care for 22 people living with dementia, different dementias. But main part of my work is awareness and education in rural Namibia, where most of the people are living in very poor, not having the same medical health that I'm privileged to. So that's where most of my work, and for the last 9 years, uh, are in. And my daughter is also working with me, so she's then managing the dementia care farm.
Okay. I'm going to have you just describe what a dementia care farm is, because we don't have very many of them in the United States.
Yeah. We call it the dementia care farm because, like I said, we only 2.7 million people in 4 times the size of Minnesota. So we are used to open plains and we are outside people, Namibians. So the first time when I start caring for elderly people and got involved with people living with dementia, I noticed, but they want to go outside. They don't want to be locked in. Living next to the coast, there's a lot of fog here, a lot of mist, and we here at the coast we living in our houses. But going from here inland, we don't do this. So I was looking for a big place where there's open spaces and nature and wild animals around us, where we can start with a place where we care for people with different dementias. In order, because I'm a strong believer of the healing, and the caring of nature and wildlife around you, and the sounds and the sun on your skin. So it's not if we are farming, but we just call it because it's a big small holding, enough space to walk, where we do have some animals and yeah, the open skies above us and the open plains around us, the desert and so on. So you can use your senses, you can stimulate your senses all the time, even if you're in your final phases
I love
of
that.
living with dementia.
I love that. Being able to be in a normal setting, that you're accustomed to. I think that's beautiful. What do you think is the most prevalent type of dementia in Namibia?
It's very hard to say because there's no data out here.
Mhm.
And even in sub-Saharan Africa, maybe in South Africa, Kenya a little bit maybe, but I think it's HIV/AIDS related dementia.
Mhm.
They call it previously they called it what's that again? AIDS dementia complex. Now they're talking about HAND, stands for HIV/AIDS cognitive neurocognitive dementia. Because in sub-Saharan Africa there are 11 million people living with HIV/AIDS, the virus not suppressed. So you can understand, and that's the people they know of. I was on a webinar about 3 weeks ago about brain aging and dementia in low and middle income countries. And one of the speakers, a researcher from Newcastle University in the UK, who is doing research in Tanzania. It's she who said 11 million. And I also met a neurologist, neuroscientist from Atlanta, about 4 or 5 years ago. Professor William from Emai, I think is the university's name, and he was the first one who confirmed that to me that HIV/AIDS related dementia might be much more prevalent than Alzheimer's disease, especially in Black African communities. I'm also in Africa. In Africa, we don't talk about African Americans, so we talk about Black Africans and white Africans. But we white Africans are more connected to a Western type of cultures, and yeah, culture of individualism, and not like Black Africans who live in Ubuntu communities.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Just another thing about this. Just another thing about HIV. You know that the great Nelson Mandela. I don't know if you know this, but he also died of Alzheimer's, of dementia. And when his eldest son died in 2005 of TB, so-called TB, he stood up at the funeral in front of hundreds of people, and he said, "My boy didn't die of TB, he died because of AIDS." And he, the great Nelson Mandela, opened up the minds of Africa for AIDS as a disease, not of the white people, but as a disease of mankind. And that's when Africa start, to do awareness around HIV/AIDS, but still it's a huge stigma, like dementia also.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. Moving, the bar when it comes to stigma is so difficult to do. And, one of the things I mentioned in your intro was, the belief in witchcraft and all of those types of things. How do you even begin to change people's minds in terms of this is a physical disease?
Well, yeah, in Africa, this is a very, very great challenge, because let me start, Laurie, by explaining to your listeners exactly what is happening in Africa regarding culture. The Black African cultures all over Sub-Saharan Africa has got two pillars. One called Ubuntu, and that's a perfect place or a perfect culture to create a dementia-friendly community. Ubuntu means I am because of you. It takes a village to raise a child, stuff like that. But the other pillar of Black African Sub-Saharan Africa is the strong belief in witchcraft. Everyone believes it, educated and uneducated. Nearly everyone. I'll say 98% of Black Africans believe in witchcraft. Not only in Africa, but also in the UK and other Western countries. But you see, and I call witchcraft the science of Africa, because the main purpose of science is to try to explain the unexplainable, try to explain coronavirus, and it seems to us also that science is struggling a lot to do this. But to explain the unexplainable, so for Black Africans, to explain diseases, death, and misfortune, they use witchcraft, and they will always say, if someone's getting sick in a village, in a home, even malaria, even diarrhea, they will immediately ask the question, who is the culprit? Who is using magic? Because the definition of witchcraft is the practice of magic to harm someone or to destroy livelihoods. And then the definition of a witch is the person who's got magic, who can harm other people through the magic, or can destroy your livelihoods. So if there's only a whirlwind, we don't have tornadoes and stuff like that, but little whirlwinds, and that blew off the top of your hut, then they call a whirlwind the house of the Omerodi, the house of the witch. So they believed that it was the witch in his house who destroyed your hut's house for whatever reason, and that leads again to accusations, because normally they look into the family first, and if your hair is turning gray, and you the eldest person in the family, then your chances are very good to be called the witch who caused whatever misfortune or disease or death here in the family. And to be called a witch is I mean, your life is in danger. Then in the tradition of Africa, you need to go to the king, to the headman, and ask him or her to send you off to witch doctors, who can prove or disapprove that you are the witch. Otherwise, your life will be they will ostracize you, the family. They will even kill you. So in the law of the traditional laws, you are guilty till proven innocent. Not like in the West, not like in so-called the democracy of Africa also, that you are innocent till proven guilty. So because you are guilty till proven innocent and your life is in danger, you need to go see at least three witch doctors to look into their mirrors and their magic or whatever, and to say to you, you are the witch. You did kill the boy in the village. You're the cause of the diseases in the village. You're the causes of HIV/AIDS. And they will also, people living with HIV/AIDS, they will also tell them, stop drinking your ARVs, your AIDS medication, because you are bewitched. You can't use ARVs, Western science medication, to treat yourself. We need to find the witch in order that she or he can bewitch you, or then we can kill the witch, so that you can, well, they believe, be free again, and you will not be free. So you see, you're sitting with all these challenges. So first time I met a so-called witch was about 9 years ago. And she was then at that time already chained for 20 years to a pole in her hut. Not even a blanket in the hut. Nothing there, only Gina. Getting about half a liter water a day, if there was water in the village, and the food leftovers and so on. So I met her in 2012, and walking through the village with my friend, explaining to me what is going on in the Imba village. I heard this lady call, and I asked him, and if I can see, I asked the family if I can see this lady, because I was already then busy working with people living with dementia, and I asked them some questions, and according to them, they explained to me each and every sign and symptom I know of dementia. And I said to them, but I think I know what's wrong with her. She's not a witch. She's not dangerous. But please give me the permission to unchain her, to help her. But the husband was not there, and I had to go back 3 weeks later. And long story short, after a long discussion, he said to me, you can try it if you like to. But there was also, on the other side is now religion, Christianity, who believe in demons and devils. So they bring this into the African culture. It's you're not a witch, but you're now demon possessed. So we must cast out the. And he said to me, the churches were here. At that time, I was a pastor still, And he asked me, "Are you from the church?" And luckily I said no, because then he would have chased me away. And I said, "But what are you going? Are you a witch doctor?" I said, "No." He said, "Are you a doctor?" I said, "No." "Now, how are you going to help us?" I said, "No, just give me the chance to unchain her, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do." So that's how I started with this, and understand that the belief in witchcraft is very powerful, and the psychosis of people living with dementia, and the fact that they sometimes address them at night or at daytime, and walk around naked. For them, witches are flying naked. So this is all a sign that she just came back from some assignment. And the fact that people with dementia sometimes get aggressive, uh, we are not aggressive people. It's because of unmet need. I call aggression the international language of people living with dementia. I also sometimes, from time to time, do get aggressive when people, handle me in its discriminating way. Like a few weeks ago, in my the, the, the the financial institution where I'm banking, where I'm having my accounts, they said to me, "But according to the laws of the bank, you're not allowed to manage your own accounts anymore." So I was very, very angry, and I got aggressive, uh, because you are discriminating against me now. But any case, Laurie, that's how I started. Then I said to myself, we unchained Gina, and we built a normal Yimba village for her, and I trained some of the Yimba girls to understand that don't be afraid of Oba, of your grandmother. She's your grandmother. And Gina was fine then, because she was now unchained. And she had enough food and enough water to drink, and she was nice. And couldn't explain to them, and was still talking and hallucinating a lot to her father and mother, who already passed away a long time. And at night she starts singing about the colors of the cattle, and singing about people already long time passed away. And I said to them, but don't be afraid about it. That's only singing. Um, because I brought them down to our farm. We were caring for people living with dementia. And luckily, just before that, another educated professor from their tribe, she was admitted with FTD at our place, frontal temporal dementia. And seeing her in their own language, in their own culture, from their own culture, they said to one another, "But this is not a white man's disease." Or it is that we are all bewitched. Even the white people are bewitched. We didn't know it before. Uh, so yeah, so we started slowly, and then I started traveling my country in the rural Namibia, and you know, I never asked for people living with dementia, because there's not even a word in their language for dementia or Alzheimer's or FTD or whatever, or brain diseases or brain disorders. So I always ask them, "Show me a witch. I'm looking for witches." Sometimes they're running away because they're thinking I'm the head of the witches or something like that. I don't know. And every time when they took me to a grandmother or a grandfather or someone else they called a witch, you can say 90% I found someone living with dementia, being ostracized, being warned by the family, "We're going to kill you if someone die again or there's a disease again in the village." And then I start um, to tell the family, what is this, what's happening in your brain. And at first, Laurie, I used my cell phone, my smartphone, because some of them can't write or read, but they've got cell phones. And I use my cell phone, the different apps, to explain to them the different lobes of the brain and the different functions in the brain. And what will happen when you delete the camera app, for instance? You will not able to take a picture of Laurie and go back to the village and show them on in your gallery. This is Laurie. So that's how I started to explain to them the brain and what can go wrong, and what is the apps in my brain, why I'm struggling to find words, why I'm struggling to talk, why I'm doing things that's not appropriate in the community, and why I'm talking to dead people, and when I'm alone at night in my hut, and so on. So yeah, that
Wow.
is that is that is not easy. And then also I then start writing letters to the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Poverty Eradication, because poverty is also linked to dementia, witchcraft, and harmful practices of witchcraft. But then I start writing letters all over the place to ask for an interview, to ask for a meeting with the minister or the deputy or the ED, the executive director. But I knocked on doors, was not open for many years. And then I wrote a letter to the president of our country, still the president today, Dr. Hagi Geingob. I wrote a letter to him, and my heading of my letter was one person living with dementia being killed, ostracized, or accused as a witch is one person too many. He then referred me to the deputy president, who was our first minister of health, also a medical doctor, and unfortunately passed away a month or two after I met him. He was the first government official who invited me to his office. And at that time, I had a lot of Black African friends already who was affected by dementia, accused as witches, or their family members, and they had to deal with this very cruel practice in the name of culture. So they went with me, and we explained to him everything. But they all grew up in the villages in rural Namibia, so they know this practices. But in some way, people are not talking about this. I normally compare it to apartheid. When I do awareness, because then doors slowly go open for me in state hospitals, nurses, doctors, practices, and so on. And I always compare it. I said to them, listen, yeah, I grew up in apartheid as a white privileged Afrikaner. My father was against this, but I and my peers, we were part of the war, of the apartheid war of that time on the Angolan border. And I said to them, but apartheid was cruel. Apartheid was is one of the most cruelest cultural beliefs, political ideologies of all times. And it killed your fathers, your mothers. It put them into jail. It accused you of as Namibians of not being Namibians and inferior to us. But now I'm standing in front of you today, and your forefathers freed me from apartheid. And I want to thank you for this, and your forefathers and mothers. But I want to ask you, please, you must also be freed from harmful practice of witchcraft, because it is as cruel as apartheid. It's accusing people of something they are not, and it's you know it's giving the green light that in the name of culture, you're allowed to kill your own mother and father, ostracize them, doing cruel things to them if someone start accusing them of witchcraft. So that's the only way I can do it, and I'm still doing it. Or wherever I'm going, I'm doing this comparison because I want to help people to understand what are you doing to your own people in the name of superstition, even in the church, even in Christianity. They're doing exactly the same thing. They just call it another names. I mean, the witch doctor is now the prophet or the pastor, and the witch is now someone possessed by evil spirits, by demons or the devil. It's the same thing. If someone accuses you of this, your life is in immediate danger, and no one wants to even to touch you or talk to you or whatever. So yeah, but I always said to me, I need to find people in the culture of the language who understand what I'm trying to tell them, and you will start working with me, and it took me 5 years to just to get permission, because you can't just, Laurie, you can't just go in a rural areas from village to village as a white African. You're not allowed to do this. Or as someone out of the community, you need to ask the head, the king, permission. And if he gives you permission, then you can go and visit people in their villages. Except if you've got a friend there who will invite you to his homestead, then it's fine. So it took me 5 years to found a king, and at that time we want to relocate a so-called witch was hiding for 8 years in poverty. You can't even imagine, with her whole family deep in the bushes, just to save her life. Because the moment they accuse you of being a witch, then your children also become witches, witch child, and they will be the next witch will taking over from you. So in a court, I asked the king if we can relocate this lady back to her village, because we opened up a court case then to get justice for her, which we got in 2020 after nearly 3 years. And even even the lawyers, even the prosecutors told me, you will never succeed with this, Berry. I said, why not? Well, there's a law in our country that said to me already for 83 years, even long before independence, in the time of apartheid, a law called the Witchcraft Suppression Act. And according to this law, if you indicate someone as a witch, you are busy with a criminal offense. So that became another tool of us in awareness. The 10 signs and symptoms of dementia, the permission letter of the king, and a plastic brain, the different parts that we can explain to them. And then I had people from the culture walking with me, and from homestead to homestead, and village to village, to show them first the letter of the king. If you show this letter, they open immediately, because it's their king that's saying you can come and talk to them about this disease. And then we start to mention the different signs and symptoms of dementia. And I can promise you, before we mention the third one of the 10 signs and symptoms, they will stop us and they will say to us, but you're talking about witchcraft now. You're talking about a witch now. And then we said, okay, tell us more about this. Is there any witch here around? And most of the time they'll say yes. Yes, we've got a witch here. And then we'll say, but please bring the person to us. They will hide this person normally. And then we'll ask them, why are you saying this is a witch? And then they will tell you the signs and symptoms of dementia.
Did you ever feel threatened for your own safety, going into the villages, even just approaching this topic?
Not really. A lot of my friends and family said to me, Berry, you're not afraid. But you see, we as white people in Africa, white Africans, Laurie, we are afraid because of what we did, because of the past, because we are racist. Till today, it's it's not like a switch that you can switch off and on again. Now I'm a racist. Now I'm not. We grew up in this, and they were always telling in schools, in the church, how dangerous black people are. And they were our enemies. I mean, in the wartime and so on. But yeah, no, I was not. I was not because. But then one day, I met the so-called wizard. They also call it a witch. He supposedly killed 4 people through his magic. And he was so depressed because you must remember also this is that one of the risk factors of developing dementia is anxiety. Specifically chronic anxiety. Now, if I know that someone called me a witch or can call me a witch, then I live in anxiety every single minute of the day because they can come in night and kill me. Or they can stop me when I'm on my way to the river to fetch water or whatever, which happens a lot. And then I met this wizard, and he was already punished. He said, "But I'm not a wizard. I didn't do this. I want to go to see the witch doctors." And they said, "They normally write a letter, the king, and you can't open the letter. You take the letter close to the witch doctor." And, yeah, in my mind, it's already written in the letter who's the witch. And then the witch doctor open it, and he start with his stuff. And he will give you what they call wadi. That is a poisonous drink. But according to them, it's not poison. It's normal water, for instance. But if you are a witch, your magic changes this into poison. So if you drink it, you will die if you're a witch. If you don't drink it, then you prove this. You're a witch because you don't want to drink it. If you're not a witch and you drink it, you will not die. But this old man was very clever already. He knows his culture very well. And he said to them, "I'm not going to drink this. I am not a witch." And well, of course, he was a witch. And then they prove you guilty. And then you go back to the court of the king. And then they punish you. They punish you by you need to pay compensation to the families of the deceased person. And overnight, this old man was punished into poverty. He lost all his cattle. He lost everything being paid to the families. So I met him, and I took him back to the king, the same king who gave me the letter of permission, and I said to him, "But I don't agree with you. According to our constitution, you are innocent till proven guilty. According to our constitution, everyone needs a fair trial, and a fair trial means there must be facts on the table, not magic. Not I'm a witch doctor, I can see in a mirror that you're a witch or whatever." So I said to the king, according to our laws in our country, this is unfair. This is the discrimination against this old man. And he said, "Okay, I agree with you, but go and see the families and tell them you want to appeal against my judgment." And because I'm not, you asked the question, "Are you not afraid?" Because I was not afraid, I made a mistake. We went to the tree. They don't have offices and buildings like us. The trees is the court, and the tree is the headman's meeting place, and so on. So we went to the tree, and it was on a Sunday, the 19th of November 2019. and I thought only the 10 people will pitch up, the family members of this so-called people that Titus, the old man's name, killed. But later on, I'd start counting them 20, 30, 40, 50, there were 70 and surrounding us. And then they start talking. Woo, and I sent a message to my wife. I said to her, I'm in trouble. Before they started, because I could feel, I could sense this is not friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a lot of shouting going on, and I asked them, please just, the king sent me, please just let me talk. And the so-called wizard was next to me, and I stood up and I explained to them, I'm not here to fight with anyone, but I'm here just to ask you, let's go to a court of law, of a democratic court, not a traditional court, and let the judge decide if Titus killed someone. If he killed someone, he's a murderer. He needs to go to jail. And then one guy stood up in my language. He speak then to me, and most of them can understand my language. And he opened the Bible and he said, according to your Bible that your forefathers brought to us, and we are all Christians today, according to your Bible, there are witches and witches must be killed. And then he shouted, kill the witches. And then they storm us. And it was a huge commotion. They hit the old man and they dislocate his collarbone. I picked him up and we started running to my car, was about 100 meters away. And we ran to the car and luckily for us, unluckily for his family, they start running in another direction and a crowd following them, and we could get in a car and we drove off. So then I brought him to our farm, 1,000 kilometers from his village. That time his family agree, his life is in danger, and he's now living with us, and we're busy with a court case. We're taking our witch doctor. That will also be the first in the history of Namibia. We're taking the witch doctor now to court. The same one who said that he's the witch. So the king is also in trouble, and I brought him. I took him back this Christmas. Remember, that was 2019, the 20th of November. It's more than 2 years he's away from his family, and they are living now in poverty. They were well off in their community because he had cattle. Cattle means not only milk to drink or plowing; it's transport. He's using his cattle also to make income from other villages and so on. So they are living in huge poverty now because there's nothing left. He had to pay everything with his cattle. But hopefully we will, in the next year, 2 years maybe, we will get justice for him. But I took him back with some two guards, 2 people to guard him of his community to his village, so that he can be with his family this Christmas. And he's still there, in contact with them every day. He's enjoying it. He knows the dangers. Not allowed to leave his village, not allowed to be among crowds. He's not even allowed to eat or drink anything that anyone, even family, not family in his direct family, but outside family, bring to him just to pretend they're happy he's back. Normally that stuff is poison, and then they called it, or if he dies of that porridge or whatever, they call it witchcraft. It's not us.
Wow.
It was the power of the magic of the witch doctor. We've got now permission from the Ministry of Education to go into the schools. That's where we need to go, to start as young as possible. You can't change the mind of adults. It's nearly impossible, but you can change the minds of children. and laws can't change a culture. But what I believe, Laurie, is laws can change attitudes, and attitudes change culture. You remember the safety belts of the cars?
Yep.
I think me and you are more or less the same age group. Sorry, I'm much older than you.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm older than you, actually. I'm 62,
yeah.
so.
Are you 62?
Yep.
And I'm 66.
Okay. Yep. We're right there.
So you remember that time?
It's just an eye opener. I mean, here in America, we think, oh, stigma, it's horrible, and it is horrible, but yet not to the level of what you're dealing with. I mean, we talk about being isolated and, friends drop away and stuff, but we're not chained up. we're not, I mean, it's very, very different. And so I think, here in America, we have to kind of count our blessings at the same time as pushing forward with the change. And we need to help support you to be able to make bigger change over in those communities. I mean, I can't imagine doing that to a loved one and then possibly even killing them because I think they're a witch. And then to be able to have that whole effect ripple down on the family to boot, and the devastation is just unbelievable. So kudos to you for, really pushing to make change. That's just absolutely remarkable.
Can I help you and your listeners to understand that even in the West, people are doing the same stuff, and that's in religion. Most of the wars of all times was started by and is going on because of religion. Christianity against Islam, Islam against Christianity, and everyone is doing it in the name of their God. We don't have peace in the world because of mostly of superstitious beliefs, and politicians are running us through fear.
Yeah.
Fear for the other, for the other person who's not like me. And that's the same thing that's happening in witchcraft. They're using fear to control their communities and to instigate their communities. But it's the same thing that's happening in politics. I was controlled as a child by fear through apartheid, and apartheid was under Christianity. They wrote the whole political system from the Bible, and they used the Bible, and they're still doing it today with gays. That's why I left the church. That's why I left as pastor. I'm still a believer. I strongly believe in the unconditional love of God for every single human being and animal and for his creation. But I couldn't be a pastor anymore from a denomination who sent gays to hell. And my own grandchild who's living in the UK, he's gay. He's a wonderful person. He's a man of peace. He sometimes say to me, "Opa, no, not so loud, not so angry." And so now when I'm working with people with witchcraft, sometimes I'm feel very sorry for my own people also, because we pointed on my own people, the white Afrikaners, the white Africans, pointing to black Africans and said, no, not so fast. Gina was 20 years in chains. We put people in chemical chains in dementia in the Western medicine with psychotics. We put them in chains and to calm them down, so-called, because we are caring for them in the wrong way. We don't recognize their unmet needs. Then it's very easy to run to the doctor, and the doctor pull out his prescription pad. In our care farm, we don't allow anything involving mood stabilizers, psychotic medication, anything that's so-called need to make someone to sleep. We make use of the sun, of exercise, and stuff like that. And I've seen over this last 12 years many white Africans coming out of Western cultures, coming to our farm totally drugged up.
Mm-hmm.
They can't even walk anymore. They're on diapers already, so-called in a final phases. Even it seems they've got dysphasia. They can't swallow properly. And then after weaning them down, they're off the diapers. They can walk again. They can talk again. They sleep very well after 3 or 4 weeks, getting enough sun. We walk with them. They can leave we've got 16.5 hectares. They can leave them, and our care workers will shadow them and follow them. And you know what is the great thing, Laurie, in our place? The people caring for the dementia people are the same people, the black Africans, who were our enemies. The same people. Did you ever read about the genocide of the Herero people of Namibia?
No, I haven't.
Do your favor and Google that. The genocide of the Herero people of Namibia. What we, as my forefathers are from Germany, what we as Germans did to the Herero people, and every single care worker of IDN is a Herero speaking woman. And they are, they know how to care. They grew up in villages, and that is Ubuntu. That's why I'm saying they've got Black Africa have got the concept of dementia friendly communities, and that is Ubuntu. We must first break down the witchcraft belief and the understanding. They need to understand dementia, and then I'm telling you, we don't need places like ours in Namibia.
Mm-hmm.
I might close down my place because people will be cared in their villages. And we do have now a few villages where they're caring for their family member. Super good.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm so jealous of them because my own people can't do it. They when you're growing old, they take you you in an old age home. We're building old age homes, more than guest house and whatever. But yeah,
Well,
that is the great part of Africa that I must point out is Ubuntu. And what it will do for people living with dementia when the minds will be opened for what dementia really is.
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of dementia in Africa. People, a white doctor from Germany once said to me, my cars are all branded, my trucks. Branded with IDN and the witchcraft stuff. So Black Africans, they are very curious. They will come to me and ask me, what is this? And then every time I've got awareness program running. And then this white physician from Germany came to me and he asked me, is there dementia in Africa? I said to him, well, sir, we've got brains in Africa, and if you've got a brain, you can develop dementia. Mm-hmm. And he said, so I don't want to offend you, but I said, but you did offend me, mm-hmm. Because you don't know Africa.
Like so many things. I mean, here in the States, they didn't call it dementia. They didn't call it Alzheimer's. It was hardening of the arteries. They had so many different names for it. And, trying to get everybody on the same page takes a long, long time. And then when and that wasn't a cultural thing, that was just our medical model in terms of getting to the point of what it is. But then you add in the cultural differences on top of that. And I loved when you you wait out, well, here's the witchcraft, but Christianity is also doing this. They're just naming it something different. They're not supporting it. And being supportive. And you also mentioned about politicians and government and villages and stuff being kind of pushed by fear. And I love that you're bringing hope and you're bringing back relationships, and that things happen, to all of us. We get diseases, different, we have different symptoms and stuff, but that doesn't mean somebody's bad. It just means that someone has some symptoms, and how do we learn to deal with those? I loved when you talked about, not using drugs to change habits, to control people, because that's really what it is we're trying to control them so they're not too much work for us, instead of figuring out what are the triggers, what's causing this, and how can we maneuver around that? Because I've seen the same thing with many people who have been over medicated or on the wrong medications that don't work at all. And it's nice to see, I know here in the States, and it sounds like around the world, this is finally starting to happen, where people are looking at more of a social model to change and to support. I think for so long it was care and cure. And now there's, how are we going to care? Is really evening out. And I think in some ways almost pushing ahead of the cure, because people have been told year after year after year after year, in 5 years there'll be a cure, in 5 years there'll be a cure, in 5 years. Okay, well, how many 5 years have passed and we aren't any closer? And I know some people would argue with that, but I think the majority of people living and dealing with the disease would agree with me that we still aren't very close, because we've been looking down a real narrow tunnel of what the causes are and how do we support this. And so for me, it's wonderful to see the music and the arts and different ways to engage people and really getting to know them. I mean, we all want to be known, we all want to be accepted, we all want to be able to participate. And, just think about being chained up and kind of thrown away. I mean, I can't even imagine how devastating that would be. And then on top of it, you're accused of being something that you're not. And there's no way to defend yourself. I mean, you're just kind of thrown out of your society. I just can't even begin to imagine how difficult that's got to be. So again, thank you for the work that you're doing. If people want to get in touch with you, Berrie, they can email you. Is that correct?
Yes, I can. Or I can WhatsApp me as well.
His email is Berrie, Berrie and then Holzhausen, HOLTZHAUSEN @gmail.com. And his phone number is 264-817-181821. And then do you have a website, Berrie?
Yeah, we do have, and we're also on Facebook.
Okay.
ADN stands for Alzheimer's Dementia Namibia. ADN. Try Alzheimer's Dementia Namibia all in one.
Okay.
At WordPress.com.
Again, Berrie, I just thank you so much for all your work. I just find it fascinating. I'm so glad that you're out there, making this change over there. Are there others like you in Africa doing this type of work?
There's a lot of dementia organizations in the countries in Africa. We are all connected, but they're not doing what I'm doing. They start to agree this is a huge problem, but they do the normal awareness programs, running, not because Black Africans don't talk much about witchcraft. They don't talk about it. But what I just want to thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It was a very, very great privilege. But I want to ask you if people contact you maybe, or if you talk about this, we need people to talk about it in America, in the West. people, it's like apartheid was. It's only when the international community take notice of this,
Mhm.
then the pressure becomes uh, more severe, and
Mhm.
then the governments start to react. It was
Okay.
exactly the same way, you know. There's also a resolution about harmful practice, witchcraft, ritual killings, from the United Nations in August this year, being put on the table and sent out to all the governments.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So
Mm.
one of the ways listeners can support is just go to your Facebook page and like it and share it
Please,
so that more people
please,
know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, please,
Well,
please, that's kind of.
thank you again, Berry, for your time and your effort. Absolutely incredible. So kudos to you and keep moving forward. The need is definitely there. I hope you're very proud of the work that you've done so far because it's pretty amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm proud of the people around me, my wife and my daughter, and all my employees. That's they are the people doing the job. I'm I'm just talking about it. But thank you very much for inviting me. Really, that's what's a huge privilege. That's what I want. I want to tell it to the world. Not what I'm doing, but please come and help.
Mhm.
Like Nelson Mandela said, uh, freedom doesn't mean to cast off the chains, but to enhance and respect the freedom of others. That
Mhm.
is what the great Nelson Mandela said for us in Africa, and we don't listen to him.
It takes
Oh,
all of us to create this change and to make it a priority. Again, thanks so much, Barry. For our listeners, you can like, click, and share this. We would love you to spread the word. And Barry, if people want to donate, can they donate to your organization?
they can donate to our organization, but if they can come to Namibia, that I can show them the work and go
Okay.
back home and decide for themselves how do I want to get involved.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a blessed week. We'll talk soon. Bye now.